The president of Taiwan is in the U.S. meeting with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy today.
That's right. Now, this is not an official state visit, but it is a show of solidarity between the U.S. and the island nation government. And as might be expected, China is not happy about this. McCarthy and a bipartisan group of lawmakers are meeting with Taiwanese President Ing-wen at the Ronald Reagan Library over there in California. In response, China has threatened, quote, resolute countermeasures.
Well, joining us now, CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. Weijia, today marks the second time that the president of Taiwan is meeting with a Speaker of the House in the space of just a year. The last was Pelosi, now McCarthy. This time the meeting is on U.S. soil, even though it isn't an official state visit. But how is China reacting?
Well, China has already made clear, as you mentioned, that there would be some sort of retaliation, that there would be a response to this visit, because the White House's stance is that there's nothing to see here. There's nothing new, because the presidents of Taiwan have visited the U.S. in the past, and the White House spokesperson, John Kirby for National Security, was pressed about this many, many times. The last time he appeared in the briefing room. And, I asked him, even though those trips did happen in the past, obviously the current state of affairs between U.S. and China is important context, right? Because there are rising tensions. There's, more developments about the Chinese spy balloon that the U.S. shot down. There is tension surrounding the Russian war. And so that backdrop is why China is so angry right now, in addition to their escalating aggression in general over the island of Taiwan. And so what we saw from when House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, China responded very quickly and fired tests and missiles around that area to show that it was not happy. Now, we asked also the White House what potential retaliation China could take. And the answer was that China shouldn't be angry about this, that they shouldn't do anything. But that's not exactly the same as saying this is what we expect China to do, and this is a consequence if they go there. And so, as you mentioned, this meeting is moving forward as planned, but we really don't know what kind of repercussions it could have.
I want to ask you about anti-Semitism, Weijia. In honor of Passover, President Biden wrote an opinion piece for CNN centered on combating anti-Semitism, and he's highlighting stats from the ADL showing it's reached its highest level on record, which is really just stunning as a point of fact. How is the Biden administration addressing this, and what is he pledging to do about it?
Well, in this op-ed, the president speaks about the attacks, especially the ones that have happened recently, and he has pledged to have a plan of action. So first, he appointed the first ever special envoy to monitor and to combat anti-Semitism around the world. He also signed a bipartisan law that makes it easier to identify and prosecute hate crimes. And finally, he said that he'll be unveiling a very specific program to tackle anti-Semitism even more in the country. So that was a little bit of news there, although we don't have all the details yet. And so the president has been known, especially since he took office, to really speak out against hate crimes in particular, not only against Jewish Americans, but against Asian American victims as well. And so he has made that part of his message to really stand up for all Americans and make clear that the administration will not tolerate these hate crimes.
All right. Weijia Jiang for us at the White House. Thanks, Weijia.
Sure.